Yo, what's cracking, folks? Welcome to episode number 17 of the Painter and the Pixie.
Yes, episode 17. Can you believe
What?
it?
I know, right?
It's awesome.
I am your host, Jeremy Vassar, and we have our other host here today, Serina Vassar. How you doing,
Hello.
Serena?
I'm good.
And it's just us today, folks, so no guests, and hopefully y'all enjoyed last week's episode. But yeah, just the two of us.
Yep.
So in this episode of the podcast, we are chatting about social media and Serena's new vlog that she started.
Yeah, it's super fun.
About a week and a half ago.
Yeah,
So,
today's day 14. 2 weeks ago.
there you go.
Yeah, awesome.
There you go. And so, yeah, we're just talking about social media, kind of how we interact with it, how we're kind of modifying some of our approaches, and hopefully some helpful tips and tricks, and talking a little bit about some of the other projects we're going to be engaging with in the future, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
So, alrighty, guys. Without further ado, please enjoy episode number 17 of The Painter and the Pixie.
This is only the beginning.
All right, ready?
Ready?
What you're going to hear about today is nothing short of a miracle.
Well, I don't believe it.
Let's find out. Ready, set, go.
Yo, what's up, girl?
Hi, good morning. Happy Sunday.
It ain't the morning.
It's the afternoon, you're right.
You're just so used to saying that.
I am.
So how's your weekend going so far?
Good. It's been fun.
Yeah, we've been doing well this weekend. It's been good. You just already posted your vlog from
I
this
did.
morning.
I already got that up from yesterday.
So, and I think that's what we're going to be chatting about, some social media and your experience with your vlog.
Yeah.
And I just want to say from the outright that I'm very proud of you for engaging in what I think is probably one of the more challenging types of social media to engage with,
Really?
which is a daily vlog.
Oh, yeah.
Just from like a workload perspective, and
It is a lot.
it's a lot. So for those that don't know, what is your goal with this vlog? Why did you start it? And kind of what's your approach as far as how you're doing it?
Yeah, so I started this vlog. Today's day 13, I think. No, today's day 14. I just posted my vlog from yesterday. Now my post schedule is the day I record my vlog and then I post it the following day.
Right.
So like Saturday was yesterday and I posted today Sunday, the vlog from Saturday.
Gotcha.
So I started this vlog as kind of an experiment to help a couple of my clients get through a particular dietary protocol called GAPS. GAPS stands for Gut and Psychology Syndrome, and it's basically a really intensive gut healing protocol that is extremely limited up front. You have 6 intro stages before you get to the full GAPS protocol, and the 6 intro stages can seem really daunting and very scary for a lot of people. So I wanted to say, look, I'm going to do it with you. I'll do it along with you and then record a video so like you can feel like you're not alone.
Right. And
Right.
it's like semi-instructional because you have
Yes.
a lot of the footage is you preparing the food in like a sped up fashion. So it's like, it is a lot of work
Yeah.
to prepare all the food and everything, but it's cool that you're, doing all of it and eating it and all that stuff and showing people that doesn't have to suck horribly.
It doesn't have to suck and it doesn't have to be scary and it doesn't have to be hard. That's
Right,
what the
right,
goal
right.
with this vlog was. I originally was just going to do a series, to help people get through the first 6 stages. I was going to go through them myself. And then, you know what? At stage 3, I had quite the hiccup and I was in stage 3 for a super long time. I'm like, all right, I guess I got some of my own work to do for my own self. So now it's just super fun. I really enjoy it. I did not expect to enjoy it so much. So I originally started with the hopes of helping people walk through these intro stages. But now I'm like, okay, after I'm done with these intro stages, I'm going to have some fun with this. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you after, you get through this. What are your plans for the vlog, or have you even thought that far? As far as like, I know I've seen you get involved in some things over the course of our relationship, and you have locked in pretty hard on this, and that is, I always think that's really fun
Yeah,
when
it
you
is.
can.
I feel like I'm just sucked into it.
Yeah, well, because you and I are nerds, so to wrangle our attention takes quite a lot. And then when we get sucked into something, that's when some really amazing things can happen because of the level of focus, attention, and like consistency that we will put into that. It's like For those that may not know what we're talking about, if you've ever read Harry Potter and just gotten like sucked into that world, it's that level of, you just
Kind of obsession.
it's an obsession, and you definitely can hit that flow state a lot. Like your sense of self tends to dissolve. If you're reading Harry Potter or listening to it on Audible, like you kind of can just forget that you even exist as a human, and you are just in this world. And that's almost what it's like when you get involved in a project like this. And those are the things that really get me excited. And I'm also super pumped for you because you have, in my opinion, obviously I'm a little biased, but you have a really natural talent for being on camera.
Oh, thank you.
And your personality, it's, in my limited experience with filming and being on mic and doing a podcast and stuff, if you're slightly exaggerated, it comes across as almost normal.
And I'm definitely exaggerated.
Your face is very expressive. It's almost like
Very
a cartoon
enthusiastic.
character. Yeah. So you have like this cartoonish animation going on with your face. It's very, you're very effective in expressing your emotions with your face muscles. So it comes along, like you're very entertaining to watch. Yeah. And then I look at your, as far as your gear loadout, for anyone that's intimidated by starting a vlog, you're shooting it with...
Dude, I'm just using an iPhone.
Yeah.
I'm using my old iPhone.
Yeah.
I started on my actual phone, but then I was like, this is too complicated. I need it for real life stuff, and I don't want to be just using it as my recording device. So I'm using an old iPhone that I had as my camera.
And also you're doing that because you didn't want the footage to get interrupted by phone calls, because you get called a lot for work and other things. So, and text messages coming in and things like that. So it's nice to have a dedicated device to do that.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun. I really have enjoyed it. You asked if I had any thoughts or plans for after this intro stage for gaps. And I do kind of. It's still a work in progress. I still think I'm going to continue with the daily aspect of things because it's just so much fun. Like you said, you get sucked into it. I really did get sucked into it. Now, speaking of sucking, I sucked a lot at the video editing component. For the first 6 episodes, I did it all on my phone. And that is hard. It's like tiny and little, and you're trying to crop it with your fingers, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is so rough.
I would not do that.
I know. Well, I didn't know. I didn't have enough wherewithal. I didn't even know what I was doing, right? I just thought I want to help people in a more broad spectrum way where they can kind of feel support from me without having to come into my office. So I thought video is a great way to do that. You can see me. It's almost like you're interacting with me. And you can interact through, YouTube has comments. People can say things back and forth all the time. I write back. So it's kind of a new way to be able to interact with clients. I've not been very active on social media historically. Yeah, I've had Instagram and I do some stuff there. But for a long, long time, it was all very private. My 5 friends could follow me.
Yeah.
And I would post some videos or pictures of things. But now I thought, man, I can help. I want to help as many people as I possibly can. Because some of the stuff that I talk about is so simple and can change so many people's lives so drastically that how else can I reach people? Okay, hey, YouTube's got a pretty big standing. I can send videos. People can pass that around.
Yeah. I like how you started doing the daily vlog because you had a really focused subject matter. You're like, I'm going to go through this process, and that's getting you a ton of reps of just, if you do it for 30 days, that's 30 vlogs that you've edited and done.
Yeah. And a couple of times I've done 2 vlogs, 2 videos in one day.
Right. And for those 2 that might be curious, Serena's using the free software that came on her MacBook.
Oh, yep. iMovie.
So you're using iMovie, which is, for anybody listening that's more nerdy about production, it's good enough to get the job done for what you're doing right now, particularly editing and shooting everything on your phone. But because you know me and we've already kind of discussed if you wanted to take it to the next level as far as your production quality, we've got a little camera picked out and then getting into Premiere Pro and all of that stuff.
Yeah, the iMovie is nice because it's very simple.
Yeah.
And fairly user friendly. One of the reasons I stuck with it on the first 6 episodes on my iPhone is because you tap the gray screen and all these help bubbles pop up. Are you trying to cut the film? Are you trying to add music? Are you trying to add a title? And it was just so simple. So it was really not intimidating at all. I've talked in the past about starting a vlog for several other things, and I never did it because I was so intimidated. This is going to be really difficult. This is going to be hard. I don't know how I'm going to do all this stuff, but you know what? Gave it a try. I had a particular couple of clients in mind who I really wanted to be able to help. I have a couple of distance clients who are going through this GAPS protocol right now. I'm like, I can't be there and help you like I would with my normal in-office clients. So, hey, kind of jump into my kitchen with me since I can't jump into your kitchen with you.
Right.
And I just started learning. And, you know, my sister, hey, shout out to Katrina.
What's up?
Helped me with the iMovie. She made me feel a whole lot more comfortable and less intimidated. She's used it for a lot of her teaching stuff to submit, you know, educational video, whatever things for her certification course. And she's like, oh yeah, it's really not that hard. You can do this and this and this. And so I remember calling her so many times, Kat, can you help me? She's like super busy.
Yeah.
I'm like, can you tell me how to do this? How do I do that? And now I have got a flow down. I just did my, I think, 19th video that I uploaded since I started my vlog. And now I've got the hang of it so far. I can get in, get out, get it edited in like an hour instead of 3 or 4 hours. It was taking me so much time.
Dude, editing takes a long time. Yeah. So, and particularly when you're new to it, and that's something I have, my audio editing skills are decent, but I've got some more rabbit holes to go down as well.
Yeah, well, you don't think about it. It's a 15-minute video. You don't think that there's all of the recording, which you might have recorded an hour's worth of material, and then you cut and splice together so you've got a 15-minute cohesive story, start to finish.
Right.
You add music, you add effects, you add, you know, text, whatever you want to do, cards. Go check this out. I think that'll be fun. And that can be 4 hours of editing for a 10-minute video.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm getting faster for the basics. That's why iMovie is great. And once you learn the few basic tasks, it's kind of cool because iMovie works a lot with keyboard shortcuts, and I'm really used to keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah.
So you can get pretty speedy if you're familiar with that at all. But I am looking forward to moving to something a little bit more advanced, a little bit more detailed to do some other kinds of effects and things.
Yeah. And I think, you know, during this podcast, we're going to be going over a number of social media platforms. And I know sometimes it can be really intimidating and you feel like I'm guilty of this as well. I feel like I need more stuff to get started. And I mean, you just shot with your iPhone.
Yep.
And you can even do more with the iPhone. There's people that vlog exclusively with that and have very popular vlogs that are successful on YouTube. And you can like up the sound quality by they have little lavalier mics that come out of your lightning port.
Oh, okay.
And they connect directly into the phone, so it'll record right into the video.
That's
but
really
you're getting a
cool.
much higher quality level of sound, and it's just a lav mic you can clip on.
That's awesome.
So there's a lot of ways for people to kind of enhance that experience too. But I mean, if anyone's curious, probably Serina's next step will be a Canon M50
That's what I'm looking at.
mirrorless camera, which is
In white.
In white, yeah, because I think it fits. It fits. And then a 3K GorillaPod, which is the tripod.
I'm so looking forward to
which
that.
will be sweet, a lot more versatile. And then you could probably just use my Video Mic Pro on top of that, which will give you way, way better sound.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. What's the tripod that I use now? What's that one called?
That is a Manfrotto.
Manfrotto.
It's just a tiny tabletop.
Yeah. It's great for when I'm seated and wanting to get some footage, but when I'm trying to stand and do cooking demos and stuff, it just cuts right off at the neck. So you have to I prop it up on Harry Potter books, actually, in case you're wondering. They're nice and thick, and I can stack them. They're pretty heavy, so I just plop that Manfrotto on top.
It's a good little tripod. It kind of looks like a walker from War of the Worlds.
Can we grab it?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, so hey, you're getting enough to get by, and then I had all the little clamps.
Yes, and that was awesome. You set me up.
Yeah.
For it wasn't that much. And I could have now, I do a lot more holding my phone itself.
Yeah.
And I could have gotten away with just holding it and propping it up on things. But
sure.
having the Manfrotto stand, it kind of clamps on either side of your phone and holds it there.
Yeah. It's the
so
same
that I
clamp
can
we
use
use
both hands to like chop vegetables and stuff.
Yeah. It's the same clamp that we use to hold the phone that's recording this podcast right now.
Cool.
So, but as with production, there is always ways to make it better and dial it in. And I was telling you too, with vlogging, it's not like infinite unless you really wanted to get into it. What's likely would happen is if you stay with it, your production value will hit a certain plateau,
Right.
and then you can kind of just stay in that range for a while, and then just focus on storytelling and things like that. But there's a fairly steep learning curve with all of the stuff to get started. Thankfully, you have some resources at your disposal.
Yeah, well,
So-
it's nice. I was talking before. So my typical work schedule, Monday through Thursday, I work in my office from 1 p.m. till 8:30 p.m. So it's kind of an odd shift, right? Most people are at 1 o'clock. They're getting ready to, lunch is done.
Yeah.
Only 3 more hours till I
Right,
leave.
right.
And I'm like, okay, so now I'm here for the next 7.5 hours. So the morning I had been doing a lot of yoga, and now it's just been completely taken over by production and vlog and editing and learning all of these components. So it's amazing. I literally feel like I'm working a second job sometimes.
Yeah, well, dude,
it's so much work.
But that's what it is. I mean, I'm almost treating what we're doing now as like a startup, because we've been running this show. I think this is episode 16? 17. It's 17. So we've been going at this since January. And it's like, okay, yeah, this is what we're definitely going to do this. And we're kind of getting some traction here and there. And then you've got your vlog that's also on YouTube. And it's just at Serina Vassar.
Serina
right?
Vassar.
Okay.
Yep, you'll find me. I
So-
look like this.
Then, I think social media gets and rightfully so in some cases, kind of a bad rap.
Yeah.
As far as it's wasting a lot of people's time, it's making people depressed, which I totally...
There's that aspect for sure.
It is a significant factor, and here's kind of my loose theory on why that is. I think it really matters on how you use it and how you approach it. If you just go on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, and engage and just like watch, it's almost like if you went to a jiu-jitsu gym and all you did is watch people roll and never trained. Whereas if you're actively participating and then approaching it, the way I'm approaching it mentally now is that I'm treating it like a video game. Like it's almost like, okay, I want to play this and get super good at it. And then I also want it from like a morally grounded standpoint of like participating in an ethical way.
Right, not just to like get as many likes as possible.
Correct. And that's kind of what I wanted to meander.
So if I can paraphrase for you, it's a meaningful way, like you said, but almost like because you're adding value, you're not just trying to win the game.
Right.
Or
So
play the game.
there's a couple things. We'll take it like a platform at a time.
Okay.
So Instagram is probably my favorite social media platform.
I like it a lot too.
Aside from like podcasting is actually a social media, if you think about it. So this is social media, what we're doing right now. It's not going through any conglomerate. We're not on some sort of channel. We're on all the platforms we're on. I chose which ones we're going to be on. We have a few others we might want to get on eventually, but that's like our choice.
Right.
So, we're on iTunes, Stitcher,
Google Play,
and then we're on YouTube. And all of that's just like stuff that we decided to do. There was no gatekeeper there aside from having your files in a certain format and things done a certain way so that it goes through and is hosted how you want it to be hosted. But like no one approved this show.
Right, we didn't have to go get a license or whatever.
Or like pitch it to
Netflix.
somebody. Yeah. So it's really that piece of it is super, super interesting to me, that you can just start your own radio show. And that's what this is.
Yeah.
But anyway,
cool.
back to Instagram.
Go back.
So I took a course on it online. It was a Udemy course for like $10 or whatever. And it was basically how to get, most of the people that are trying to win at Instagram want to get to at least 10,000 followers.
Oh, right.
Because it unlocks all of the pro level marketing techniques that you can use. It gives you opportunities to link to multiple URLs. You can swipe up in the Insta stories to link to something. So it's a really useful tool.
That is really cool.
And it pairs really nicely with YouTube. And
I didn't know that.
Peter McKinnon,
Yes.
who's an absolute stud on, he's got like probably getting close to, he's probably like 1.75 million followers on
he's
YouTube.
insane.
And then, he's got a lot on Instagram, but he's always linking to his newest video. And he's a photographer, cinematographer, and just kind of a funny dude. But he's one of my favorite YouTubers, but
His production level is so awesome. It's like higher than anything you'll ever watch. It's amazing.
it's very impressive for the platform, for
Yeah.
sure, because he filmed magicians for like 7 years.
Right. So he has had such a background that set him up for that.
Right. He had the background and a lot of the gear to do it. And then, you know,
And the
he's
experience you get for 7 years of doing that work.
of doing it professionally, which means you're actually getting paid for it, which kind of means something. So, but, you know, Instagram, there are black hat ways of doing it where you can hire bots to go around and use your account to auto like people's
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
And then you get followers from that, because you can kind of do, if anyone really wants to grow their Instagram account, one of the easy things you can do is search for accounts that are similar to the people you want to be following you, and do 3 likes and 1 comment.
Oh, so it's kind of like a little algorithm of what's the most likely way to get people to like you back.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Which is, I definitely understand like why you would want to do that, but and I could be completely wrong. So, because I have a friend of mine he just crested 10,000. So, congratulations to Joe Zatmary
Cool.
over at the
Go
Lions
Joe.
Den. He's been like on social media for a while. Like he's been really working that for about like probably 5 or 6 years or so.
Wow.
And his YouTube's decently up there too for, you know, guys that want to be yoked and lift super heavy weight.
So not me.
Probably not. Yeah, we're not quite the demographic he's
not
targeting.
exactly.
Yeah, it's like, okay, and there's a magic likes meter where you can basically put as many likes on a picture that you want. I think I talked about it before on the show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm just like, man, I don't know how many of those followers, like say you did all that and you got 10,000 people, but like how many people are actually watching your stuff?
Right. Probably they're not necessarily
And-
very genuine
Yeah.
followers.
And it's not how, I know this isn't quite the same as like building a painting company, but we did it really organically. You know, we definitely had
kind of the same.
we did
Kinda similar.
big marketing pushes, but you know, we just kept doing a good job and we were a huge value add. So my strategy is more of once someone finds us, it's so good that they really enjoy it and they want to keep like they want to keep seeing our stuff and our content and all of that stuff. So that's kind of like the approach that I would prefer. It feels more morally right
Yeah.
to me to do that, and I have a really hard time going against that in myself. I really can't. It bothers me.
Yeah.
So, and that's not to say you definitely want to get things optimized and make sure everything is really smooth. So, you know, Instagram, you want to have fun things that people would actually want to watch, not just like, hey, come buy my stuff.
Right. Or yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of why I like doing this show, because the podcast is free. And even if the show gets sponsored, the people listening aren't affected by that
Right.
at all. Aside from listening to an ad read in the beginning, or, you know, we have our Audible affiliate that we're also probably we'll mention again
At some
once
point in
the,
time.
the user base starts building up again. But I find this all kind of really fascinating in the approach of it, because you can get kind of a little more whiz bang with it and do some slightly nefarious things to like kind of juice your numbers a little bit. But I don't know. I feel like at some point you want, there's a book that was written, it was called like something about 1,000 real fans. And then like, that's more important than like 10,000. And there's actually only like 3 people that actually watch
Right.
your stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, when you said, yes, I totally agree with you. When you said it's kind of like a video game, what do you want? Do you want like people who, so I guess what I was thinking there is a video game that's just one person and all of the other characters are computer characters, or like an MMO where you actually have real people who are actually following you, right?
Right,
So it's
right, yeah.
You want to have a real following base of people who actually care, because that's genuine. You know, you don't want to just, I don't want to have fake numbers, you know,
Yeah.
just to have numbers. I think that's ridiculous. Like 1,000 subscribers, people who follow our stuff because they like it, they learn something, they have value added to their lives by participating in our program. That's awesome. That's so much better than 10,000 people and none of them care.
Right. And so that's why
Even if we get our features unlocked with 10,000.
well, I think having a longer time frame
Yeah.
for our expectations too is really helpful. So, and that's like when you do have something hit, it's you want to make it a really pleasant interaction. And if people find the Painter and the Pixie / Vassar ecosystem, they're having a smooth interaction kind of through the whole time. But yeah, it's been very interesting as far as like deciding or like what kind of pictures should I post? What should I be posting about? Everyone says to stay super focused. So with the show, I think it's actually easier for me to think about things to post for the show than it is to think about stuff to post for myself, because then there's people will talk about like, well, what's your brand? And for whatever reason, when I start hearing that, I'm just like, ugh. I think it's because I listen to too many comedians and they just crap all over that like all the time. Yeah, so the world of the social medias is interesting. I guess my overall point is, if you start participating, then you can kind of adjust your expectations and even just start posting things that you're really interested in. And like, I like photography, mainly in the context of this kind of realm for thumbnails and fun pictures like that. But I've even thought of just adding some simple things like show coffee of the week.
Yeah, that'd be so fun.
So I'm like, that's an easy thing that I can do. And it would be like a cool, if we did it right, it would be a fun little thing.
Yeah, dude, we should do that today. We have that leftover raw milk from yesterday's cereal party.
Okay.
And then I can steam it and make some kind of cool decoration in your coffee.
There you go.
That could be fun.
Although I am definitely caffeinated right now.
That's true. You're drinking the last of your iced coffee.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's got some MCT oil in it.
Oh.
Big fan of the emulsified MCT.
Yeah.
So.
Sounds good. So yeah, I think that I like the idea of getting more involved and participating in the game, not just trying to watch. I was on Instagram for, 2 years before I ever posted a single picture.
Yeah, you little stalker.
Yeah, because I was looking up all this service dog training stuff and I was like, I don't have anything cool to post. So I was just watching, tutorial videos and absorbing the information. And I'm like, okay, I've got some cool stuff that I can give back. So participation, I think, is a good way to put that, because you're not just, if you're going to be on social media anyway, just scrolling through stuff, you might as well be contributing something useful, constructive.
Right. And also, too, one of the things that I've noticed that almost every person wants from an educational course or a YouTube or Instagram is user or subscriber engagement. So in the grand scheme of things, comments are worth way more than likes. So you really want that participation and start getting that back and forth. And when I went through this Instagram course, just as an example, and they said, find people that you think would want to follow you and then like 3 of their pictures and comment on one. But you don't really know these people.
Yeah.
I get why you would want to do that. But when you can genuinely find people and content that you enjoy. And then I do think there's some merit in DMing those people. Like, for instance, if we found someone that we really loved their podcast and we wanted them to be on our podcast or something like that, DMing them and saying like, hey, we really enjoy this episode and we'd love to have you on, something like that.
Yeah, and just for those who are listening, DM means direct message.
Yes, which is on Instagram.
Yeah.
I think what is it on Facebook?
I don't know.
Is it PM?
PM used to be private message, but I think it's a DM now too. But
is it?
Just, I was talking to somebody yesterday and they didn't know what vlog was. So vlog is video log. So it's like a blog, but with video.
Yes.
And DM is direct message, just so we're all clear on terms.
I like that.
Make sure
everybody's on the same page. Got it. DM
them and invite them on and say, hey, this would be a cool thing to do.
Right. So, and it's a cool way to connect and find really cool people, but kind of carpet bombing the internet with doing that, I mean, it has its place.
It does, and I'll say I've done that a bunch of times, not knowing there was any kind of algorithm, but like I like somebody's stuff and then I'll comment because for me, that's about participation. I didn't even know about this because I want them to know, hey, I'm a real person and I think you're cool as a real person.
Right.
I want them to know it's not just like. I've seen some people who have like thousands of hearts on Instagram, but no comments.
Yeah.
And you say, what is the real engagement there? And so I'll be like, this was awesome or whatever. This looks so cool.
One of the things that I was thinking about, I'm like, okay, it's social media. It's still a social web. There's people on the other end of this stuff.
Yeah.
So even
and some bots.
and some bots and some Russian bots. One of the things that I was thinking about was like, oh, I should treat these like my friends post things. So now I've even been more, I'm like, oh, I'm going to like and comment on their stuff, And then I've noticed just in my Instagram and stuff, my circle of people that I follow, it's almost like you're curating your friends a little bit. Like, that sounds nefarious, but it's like you're giving support to things that you actually like. And like comments and stuff are really particularly kind comments, because the trolls will find us eventually.
It's true.
So
It's true.
but and then but I will comment on things that I genuinely like. It's not so that for me it has to come from an actual place of like honesty.
Right.
So-
Which is, so that's where playing the game, being involved is really what that comes down to. So I think that's pretty cool.
But you're being like a good social media friend. And we both have gone through, or I finished Gary Vee's new book, Crushing It,
I'm
which
partway
is
through that.
pretty intense, but it's a lot about people. I mean, you mentioned before, you feel like you have 2 jobs. I'm like, that's exactly kind of the feeling as far as the output goes, and, being consistent. I find it really fascinating, all of the layering process of the different mediums and having pillar content that you can break up. I've really noticed a lot of people enjoy the little commercials that we break off of the show and pull off, and that's kind of fun too, to put that out there. And video gets way more views than the pictures, but usually because they actually they tell you how many views you get.
Oh, you don't see that on your pictures.
Yeah, you don't see how many times people view your pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, that's true.
It's an interesting space, man.
It is. Yeah. And I wanted to, going back to the vlog thing at the beginning of this conversation, when I got involved with vlogging here on YouTube, I originally had planned on putting it on Instagram.
Yeah.
But I couldn't figure out how to get my videos to be longer than 15 seconds. And I said, well, that's not a very good picture of my day. But you can string lots of them together, I know. But I think the medium for vlogging really should be on, or has been, done well on YouTube.
Yep.
But you can do little teasers, like you said, those little videos, and
Insta
stick
stories,
that on
man.
Instagram. Yeah, it's going to be super fun. So I was very passive for a super long time on social media. And now I'm saying, hey, this is actually pretty fun to be able to engage with people in a new way. For a long time, I was like, nope, if you're going to come and talk to me about nutrition, it's got to be in my office because we have to sign disclaimers and do all this legal stuff. And I was like, no, I'm not making any personal recommendations. I'm not saying you need to do this.
Right,
Totally.
right.
Hey, let's make it a little more general, open, available to the general public, and put a lot of good stuff out there. A lot of, like, some of my one of my vlogs recently, it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before, I spent a bunch of time talking about how digestion works. And I thought, this is incredibly useful to people. People don't hear this all the time. So I'm going to throw that out there. Someone's going to listen to this vlog and say, whoa, I should sit down and chew my food. What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, little nutritional nuggets.
Yeah. So it's really fun to be able to do that.
So, and it's, for me, it's couched in having a positive impact on others. That's really my approach to most of the things that I do, which I think is sustainable and scalable to have a positive impact. Most people aren't going to object to that. Alleviate unnecessary suffering and promote joy and, positive impact, all of that jazz. But one of the things that I always find interesting is that people find that you have a podcast. We have a podcast, you have a YouTube channel, we have all this things that we're doing, and it's going to take quite a bit of effort and time before this is like a monetized real thing. And I would, Serina and I will not be quitting our day jobs anytime soon.
No way.
But we both knew that going into it. So it's not automatic once it's, your production value can be great. A lot of things can be dialed in, but it's still going to take a little bit for things to hit. And, but I would just say if anyone is thinking about doing a podcast or a YouTube channel, one, just to get started. And we were talking about this earlier, which I'll talk about in a second.
Okay.
But, and also just be consistent with whatever recording or posting schedule you're thinking about. Even if you're just trying to grow your Instagram with like cool pictures and videos and whatever, try and just give yourself a small on-ramp, like a really gradual on-ramp. Just be like, I'm going to post once a week on Mondays or whatever it is. And don't worry about when the perfect time to post is.
Yeah, is the consistency of the day really important? I have not paid any attention to that. Obviously I post my vlog every day, but I don't post it. I don't have like a time frame that I post it.
It really,
because sometimes my workflow is so intense that I just can't get it out.
It's well,
If it's done, it's done.
well, like I said, your posting of your vlog you did a daily, man. So
I know.
that's intense. You're probably not going to have a consistent posting time.
You know, during the week, I do pretty well. It's the
Yeah.
weekends that I get myself all thrown out because we do all kinds of different things. And we record on Sundays, so it's a little bit different. But I'm thinking of changing once I get through these gaps stages to doing like my 5 days a week during the week because that can be very, very consistent. And then doing one vlog for the weekend.
Yes, that would
think
be
that I
my
might end up with
suggestion
that.
as well. To do that. So that way it gives you a little bit of break and kind of reset and think about how you're going to film the rest of the week and, clean up the back end. You've had issues with filling up storage on your computer.
Yes, the joys of editing.
So, but yeah, being consistent is important. I wouldn't necessarily worry about the times you post things. If anyone's curious about Instagram, I believe it's 9 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 10 o'clock at night.
I thought you said 3 a.m.
Oh, it's 2 a.m. It's
2 a.m.
Yeah, so 9, 5,
Crazy.
and 2.
Those 2 a.m. people who are, P.S., if y'all are wondering, those 2 a.m. people who are scrolling around on Instagram have woken up probably from a blood sugar crash and they're like, I'm awake. I might as well scroll on Instagram. Like, just don't do that, guys. If you wake up at 2 in the morning, make sure your phone's on airplane mode, push that aside, take some deep breaths, go back to bed.
Yeah.
Your adrenals will thank you later.
But yeah, the thing is the difference between you would really have to be dialing in all of your analytics for that to matter.
Yeah, I feel like that.
But it's more of posting consistently. And, a lot of people will post on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, particularly on vlogs, because that's, I think it used to be Tuesday was the highest traffic on the internet, and it might be Wednesday now, but it's kind of, I wouldn't worry about that necessarily.
Yeah,
You're kind
I'm not.
of splitting hairs at that point. Just get it out. And then the thing, what's nice with YouTube is you can post it, the video is up, and then you can use Instagram to drive traffic to it.
Yeah.
Because the way Instagram's set up is you get one HTML link in your profile. So most people are, like Peter McKinnon links every time in his bio, links to the newest YouTube video that he's posted.
Right.
And that's what he does every time. So, and that's kind of like how a lot of people use that. So,
But you started saying something and we kind of got you off track. You were saying
Happens
get
a
it
lot.
done. And if I can guess where you were going, we've talked about this phrase, it's better to be done than perfect.
right.
And just show up.
Yeah.
Just be there, do it. It does not have to be perfect. If you are putting in the reps, especially not that it has to be crappy or like don't half-ass it, but just show up, just do it. It's better to be done than perfect. That's what kind of kept me for a really long time from starting anything with this YouTube or a vlog is I was like, oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do the editing. It's going to take me forever. It's not going to look good. And you know what? A couple of my videos, I don't know what happened, man. Like, one of my first videos for the last like half of the video, I'm on 3x speed. I'm just like talking like a chipmunk. I have no idea what I did to it, but it's stuck that way. So whatever. It's up there. It's done. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
I think I did repost it later though with the speed fix.
It will be highly amusing
later
later.
to see where I came from.
Hypothetically, if you vlogged for 4 years or something, when you go
Yeah.
back and look at the OGs, you're gonna be like, "Wow,
Yeah.
I can't believe I posted that."
I know, so
So,
funny.
but
But I wanted to make sure I stuck with my schedule. I didn't want to skip a day and say, sorry guys, I didn't post the video because I sounded stupid for half of it. No, I wanted to make sure that I got it up and at least some of the content was there. One of my other videos, the last 3 minutes are just missing. I have no idea what happened to that. But it's okay. It's done. I wrote a little summary on the comments. Here's what happened on the end of my day.
Yeah.
But it was done and I moved on and I got to the next day and I still made my posting schedule. And now I have much more polished videos because I saw those mistakes. You know, you have to learn from them.
Yeah, definitely watch, or particularly if any of y'all are thinking about doing a YouTube channel or a podcast, listen to your podcast or watch your content. Like you
All
will
the way through before you post it.
Well, particularly before you post it, but even after you post it, because you had a situation where you posted it and then they like chopped off.
The last 3 minutes are gone.
Right.
I have no idea what happened.
So, and that's happened with podcasts I've posted in the past
Yeah.
where I've been like, oh geez, something, happened in the upload. So definitely,
Yeah. Just double check. That's what I've done now. That's what I learned was when I lost those 3 minutes, and they were a cool 3 minutes. And I don't even know, all my original footage was gone too. That's a whole other story. But so now I post it and then I watch it.
Yeah.
And I watch it because I've seen it so many times editing it. I watch it on 2x speed just to make sure there's no problems. You know, you can just hear it real quick.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you live, you learn.
definitely check your stuff.
Then you check your stuff.
And then one of the things that I've definitely harped on this in podcasts in the past, but this is something I got from Tim Ferriss. If you're going to do something, whether it's a new business endeavor, you might be doing something in the realm of social media. If you approach it with even if you fail, you win. You kind of make it a win-win even if you fail situation.
Meaning like you learn. Even if you fail, you take something from it, you come out on top.
Right. So a good example would be, I did Jeremy Unsolicited and I was like,
Your original podcast.
I was slightly ambitious with my posting schedule where I was like, I'm going to do 3 podcasts a week, which is insane for someone who's working full time and
3 podcasts a week?
Yeah. I did it for a while.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, dude. Well, when I started, I had stacked up like 6. Oh. And then I bumped them out like pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then I was recording like
that's a lot.
2 during the week and like 1 or 2 during the weekends.
Yeah.
And so I was posting like it was 3 at first, then 2, and then I was like, I'm just doing a weekly show. This is impossible. But I structured it so that I knew I would get reps at doing the production. And then when we decided to do the Painter and the Pixie, I'm like, okay, if we fail at this, the worst case scenario is you and I get better at talking to each other. Which is pretty good. And it would, unless something crazy happened, it would strengthen our marriage. We would have really fun coming up with topics and working on something together. So that's like, even if the show doesn't make us millions and millions of dollars,
we still will come out on top.
It's a win-win for you and I.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, and it's upping my production level. It's upping like our filming, and you might be out a few shekels. We are, paying a decent amount of money in web hosting and the things that we're doing. All over the place. They're like, you just have, your back end costs money.
Yep.
It's not an insane amount, but we pay for software and all of these things.
It's definitely, we're not breaking even yet or making a profit.
Yeah. It's
because we're still working on developing good content, getting our name out there, doing all those things we got to do.
And then it's having fun. So if you consider it like a hobby, start it there. And then if it starts picking up steam and momentum, you can shift it into like, okay, right now I'm coming at it still with a playful, fun mindset, but more professionally. And then, you're doing the same thing with your vlog. You're like, okay, well, worst case scenario, I'm getting really good at
reps under my belt,
and more familiar with the space, and like all these skills will add up and pushing in the right direction. So I think for anyone that's considering doing some sort of, you could even do like a mini vlog on Instagram and chronicle something, maybe you're like training for a race, at least you'd have that, that log of your, like, this is when I train for this thing that'll be out there. And I was even thinking, your parents will be super happy to hear this, I'm sure. But like, hypothetically, if and when we have children, like, our kids be able to hear us have a podcast. Yeah. Like, that's weird.
Yeah,
that's
that'd
weird
be
to think
kind of
about,
cool. That's not
right?
normal. That for, previous generations couldn't do stuff like that.
Yeah, they're going to hear their parents when they're in their early 30s talk on a podcast.
I'm not 30.
Yeah, I know you're not.
I'm in my 20s.
Yeah.
You're in your 30s.
Yeah. I'm 32, man.
I know.
Wait, you're going to be 30 this year, though, right?
I'm 29. Thank you very much.
You got a little time left,
I'm still in my 20s.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, you
20s.
keep holding on to that.
Yep, I will. I am.
So, which brings me to my next kind of thing where my brother and I have been filming. We finished the last day of principal shooting for our yet to be titled, but loosely titled Contracting 101, which is a course that will be helping contractors learn the back end of building a contracting business, just from the administrative standpoint and all of those things. So I think we shot 40 videos, 40 plus.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Which definitely we would do it differently in the future. But
hey, you have to get started somewhere.
We're learning. So, but because of that, I got so many reps shooting in my studio in the garage that I've been harping on about this show that I've been considering doing for a while now. And you're like, just do it.
I know. I told you this morning, just do it, man. It does not have to be perfect. It needs to be done.
Yeah. So
show up,
and
done.
what I didn't want to do is just launch something again or have something cost more money, basically.
Yeah.
So, and I think what I'm going to do now, and this is structuring it so even if I fail at it, I win. One of the things that I really need to learn is video editing, and
I know a very small amount.
Yeah.
I can teach you what I know.
Yeah.
It will take us about 10 minutes.
yeah. Well, you're using iMovie, which I will
that's
be
true.
in.
I can teach you nothing.
Yeah, I'll be using Premiere Pro, which is in the Adobe Creative Suite, which is what everyone from YouTubers to Hollywood filmmakers are using. Pretty much the two top tier programs are Final Cut Pro, which is for Mac, but Adobe Creative Suite, which I believe is called Adobe Creative Cloud, is now kind of the standard. And they have all of the other editing suites around it. Like Adobe Audition is the audio program that I use to edit this show. So you're doing a daily vlog, right?
Yep.
I tried filming a vlog once.
I remember that.
And first off, I didn't know what I was doing. I was using my big DSLR, and which has no flip out screen, which is retrospect.
Not the best move.
Not the best.
But you tried it.
Yeah, I got some decent stuff, but then I wasn't all that. I don't think my days are that interesting. But
You have to be able to tell a story. That's
Yeah.
what I've
Right,
decided.
right.
You've got to have a beginning, a middle, some fun stuff happening, and an end to make it interesting for people to watch.
Right. Well, I mean, how often do I tell you about my day painting?
Yeah, never.
Ever.
Once in a while, if there's a dog,
Yes.
that's kind of funny. Or if they remember that one who ran through the blue paint.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, I tell you about when things get messed up or something weird happens. That's about like they had the one house I was at this week had pigs next door, and they were just walking in the yard. It was like a normal neighborhood.
That's really
And
funny.
I was like, what kind of dog is that? I'm like, that's a freaking pig.
It's not a
And then
dog.
they let out the bigger pig. There was like a 300-pound pig just like walking around their yard.
Wow.
It's like, that is a big ass pig.
Did you get their names?
The pigs?
Yeah.
They were the neighbors. They were not the house I was working in.
Okay.
So
Yeah, you did just say that.
yeah, I don't know what their name
You
would
could
be.
name it Mr. Pig and Piglet.
There you go.
Okay. Very creative.
Yeah. Call them bacon and barbecue.
No.
Yeah, ham sandwich.
No. Go back to what you were saying.
Yeah. So what I want to do, and this is something I've been thinking about for a while, and I think I'm just going to put it on. I want to learn to edit, but for me, I have to put it in the context of
needs to be the
something.
context.
So for me, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I want to do a media diet.
Yep.
YouTube show. It'll be a weekly show, very likely, and I think we're just going to put it on the Painter The Pixie
Yeah, I
channel
think
in a
that's
separate
great.
playlist, and then I'm going to film it on my white screen.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
And then what I also want to learn is more After Effects, which is another program within Adobe Creative Cloud.
Which are like special effects, right?
Yeah, you can do animations in the title screen. You can do some cool animations within the footage, and it'll just give me reps in pairing audio, working with lighting, doing all the stuff that I did for the Contracting 101
Yeah,
series.
you got to figure it out.
But also the premise of the show will be I will be giving you my weekly recommendations for things like podcasts, audiobooks, movies, Netflix, Showtime, HBO, Hulu, the different platforms that people are on, Amazon Prime, those types of things. So
Yeah, I like it. I
because
think it's great. I would listen to it.
I constantly get hit up on my phone for recommendations.
I ask you all the
from
time.
I have a cadre of friends that are like, "Yo, man, I'm out of stuff. Like, what's the next thing?" Like, you know what? It might be. I've never seen a show quite like that.
Yeah.
That's just like the recommendation, and then telling you if you like this, you'll like this. But I'm also going to give kind of ratings to things as far as like rated R, PG-13. I'm
yeah,
going to throw
good
that
idea.
on audiobooks as well, just so people kind of know what.
Right, because audiobooks
are.
don't have the same standards. They don't have to
they
give
have-
a rating
they
like
have
that,
none.
right?
They have none.
Right, like video games have some ratings, but audiobooks don't.
Video games, podcasts, you will have an E, but the E is
Right.
kind of nebulous as far as what that means, explicit content.
Right, because you might just say one swear word that it counts you now. You're
Right. So it's more about vulgar material than it is about swearing.
Oh, okay.
And then if you get reported and people complain that your content is explicit and you didn't rate it as such, you can get in trouble and get yanked.
wow.
Or you can get flagged on your respective platforms. So
Yeah, so
but-
I think that's a great idea to give people some context, particularly for audiobooks, because you have some really great series out there, and you just sometimes you're like, oh yeah, this sounds really exciting, and then you read it and you're like, okay, this is totally not my cup of tea.
Right.
And especially if you use a listening platform like Audible. I mean, thankfully Audible now has you can return something, but if you've
Yeah.
purchased a book and you're like, this is terrible, a lot of times you used to be just stuck with it. So having someone who can say, hey, here's what I would recommend, this is what I think the rating would be, is
Yeah.
really useful. I think you should just start it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the plan. And now that the weather has warmed, and I feel like
A little more sunshine.
there's a little more hope and joy in the world now on the East Coast here. It's like oh, joy exists.
Yeah, sunshine, warmth, no more snow.
But yeah, so that's what I want to do it in a controlled setting. I don't want to do a daily show.
I think that's too much.
And
a lot of people
yeah.
don't go through media as quickly as you do. So like you said earlier, you want to give 3 to 7 recommendations each week.
Yeah.
Most people won't go through 3 to 7 recommendations in a month.
Yeah.
Just so you're aware.
See, I have a real skewed view of things because I am a painter, and the skill portion of my job, like I'm pretty good at what I do. So I don't need to, once the job starts and we're set up, I can pretty much zone out and do what I need to do, which means I can listen to particularly audio content for anywhere from 8 to 10 plus hours a day. So I'm
You
ripping
rip
through
stuff
material
real quick.
But the good part of that is I have culled through a ton of stuff. So I really move through material. And then, well, that's why I consider doing like a monthly show.
Yeah.
But then the thing is, people aren't going to always like all of the recommendations I give. So if
No, I like that.
you might be able to at least find like one podcast that you would like during the course of the show, or an audiobook. Because what I see being an issue is there's so much content being put out there.
It's hard to know what direction to go in.
In how I describe what you do, like there's a bunch of shitty food manufactured, a ton of processed food. It's very confusing. There's so much. There's food everywhere. You've got fast food joints and kind of traditional grocery stores, and you have big box stores and Walmart, and you've got, but a farmer's market, and then you've got, butchers. And so, but you're the navigator. You're like the guide through this crazy jungle of nutrition.
Tour guide.
But you're really guiding people to the good stuff, right?
What is real food?
What's real food? So for me, I look at it as like, well, what's your media diet? Because it definitely impacts how you approach the world, how you're viewing things. It really matters. Like, are you watching the news? Like, are you engaging in a lot of fear-based content, which is the stuff that I absolutely abhor.
Yeah.
So, and I really do think it impacts people's brains.
Oh, yeah.
And what they're doing, and that's why
For
we're
sure.
kind of talking about social media and how you're interacting with it. I would definitely just say, like, notice how you are feeling after you're thumbing through social for a long time. It's kind of gotten. I think everyone knows this by this point, but like people are giving you their best possible moment of the day or the week or the month, and you scroll through, however many people you're following.
And if you're not participating, like you said, it's just depression. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, their life is cool. Oh, that's so awesome. Oh my gosh, they're doing that. Wow, look at where they are. If you're engaging and you're saying, oh, and you post something, whatever's cool in your life, whether it's a picture of your dinner or like a fun thing you did, like cereal Saturday,
or your dog or whatever,
or your dog, or what, and you're making it positive. You're saying, here's my cool thing for the day.
Yeah.
Not necessarily comparing your cool thing for the day to somebody else's cool thing for the day, but you're engaging and you can appreciate, wow, I like your cool thing that you did. Here's the cool thing that I did. That's a way more positive experience of social media than just scrolling through and feeling more and more depressed as you would go along. I'm very visual.
Right.
Verbally imaginative. I imagine people scrolling through that and the color slowly draining from them as they scroll through, and then they're just gray and sad and then a puddle forms around them, and they're just in the depression puddle and they can't get out.
Put the phone down.
They put the phone down and just sink into the puddle. No, don't do that. Get out of that. Start participating and having fun and doing something that's constructive, and then get your color back, more vibrant.
Yeah, even just do something cool so you have something to post. So
yeah.
And I all right, I'll come. I want to finish my train of thought, and then I have
sorry.
kind of one more thing I just want to touch on before we move on here. So yeah, I want to be like the media guide. So being a media guide and
Yes.
pointing people to the things. Obviously, it's going to be biased. Where I'm going to be. I don't think I want to review things or talk about things that I dislike. Because I don't want to really talk crap on anything. I'm sure some of that will happen if I get asked something directly, but I thought it'd be an easy show for people to interact with and then also get recommendations from other people that watch the show. Like, what podcasts are y'all listening to? What audiobooks are you listening to? Because I have time. I have time to listen to all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
That's great.
and what I thought is, I would be the guide through the media jungle
Oh,
because
yes.
I'm
Bring
also
it
going to
back
give
around, thanks.
recommendations for YouTube and podcasts and audiobooks and then all the other kind of standard platforms. But I'm going to stick to the kind of the main, like those three, and then Netflix will probably be the kind of four that I'm engaging with the most.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
But
I like it. I think it's going to be great. I think you should start it now. Like when we're done recording, go start doing your show.
I actually filmed one at the
Yeah.
Lakeside Studio.
Oh yeah, I forgot you did that.
Yeah, I even had my cousin add graphics and stuff.
Wow.
And then it was just, it didn't look anything like I wanted.
Oh.
And I was doing Jeremy Unsolicited at the time. So I kind of
Forgot
just
about that.
put it on the back burner and
Bring it back to the front burner.
coming back around. But sometimes you need to, one of the strategies I also have is that if I don't know exactly what I want to do, I just keep trying to build skills that will give me more opportunities in the future. Because the more skills you build, the more tools you have in your toolbox, the more obstacles you can tackle.
Right.
So, and that's kind of, it's worked out pretty good so far. Now, Serena and I have talked about kind of positive engagement on social media. There is, as most people are aware, trolling and shit posters and people that do some less than positive things on the internet. I'm sure everyone is aware of something like that. The example I give is there is a Netflix documentary called The Last of the Enforcers. It's about professional hockey and the fact that there's a category of player in the NHL called enforcers. Now, the NHL, you are, as far as I know, you're still allowed to fight. And what happens is you've got your star player, think like Wayne Gretzky, that type of fella, that's like the high scorer. He's the guy actually putting the puck in the net. These guys are generally smaller, faster dudes, and guys will blindside them. They'll do dirty checks and stuff and take these dudes out.
Smash into them. and
Yeah,
stuff.
smash into them, hurt them, things like that, and do some illegal moves. When that happens, an enforcer comes out on the ice who's on Wayne Gretzky's team and beats the crap out of that dude. Like immediately. You
Yeah.
have an immediate physical consequence
Yeah.
to like abhorrent behavior. So you did something dirty, this big dude comes out and beats the shit out of you. It's a very like one-to-one
Yeah,
correlation.
you know what you did.
So-
you know that you did something to deserve that.
Yep. And that is a hilarious
I
category
can't believe
of
that's a real job.
player. Some of them are actually super talented hockey players. Some of them are just brawlers.
Wow.
But they're usually big dudes that know how to like smash someone's face in. So,
Dude.
all right. So now in the European leagues, there's no fighting. So you can't have enforcers.
I see.
So in the European leagues, in their hockey leagues, it's the dirtiest hockey league ever. They have the most injuries. They get the most illegal shots. They have the most concussions. And
I
like,
can't believe they have the most concussions
most
compared to the enforcers.
yeah, well, because most of the time those guys aren't getting concussed when they get in fights. They get concussed when they get blindsided,
And smashed into the ice.
checked into the boards,
Or the
or
boards.
cross-checked, like all that stuff. So actually, the version in North America is safer for players than the European League that doesn't allow fighting.
Shocking.
So my correlation to social media is social media is more like the European leads.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's
I can
no
see that.
direct physical consequence for people being shitty to people online.
That's true.
And that's something I was like, oh, you would never say this to
Someone's face.
Someone's face.
Standing right in front of you.
Yeah, and I've coming from the world of the fight gym, because I played like traditional sports growing up, baseball, basketball, that kind of stuff. Guys talk crap on each other all the time in those sports, particularly basketball. Like people just talking shit nonstop because there's no fighting or anything in those games. You can maybe like do some dirty moves and whatever. My brother will attest to this too because he was actually really good at basketball. back in the day. But like what Josh and I noticed, we came to the fight gyms, there's nobody talking crap. Nobody. Because it was, we're there to fight.
Yeah.
If someone's like, dude, I'm gonna kick your ass, it's like, yeah, dude, that's what we're doing. Like let's do it. It's the most.
Or then they say, okay, and then you do it.
But you do it and you figure it out. Like
Yeah.
you figure, oh, what can you? But there's a direct physical consequence for being an asshole, and that's not the case right now on the internet. So just, I would just say keep that in mind as far as if you get big enough and are doing well enough on any of these platforms, you're gonna get some.
those things.
You're gonna get some hate. And that's something that we'll have to deal with eventually, and have probably some policies in place and things like that.
Yeah.
But and I would imagine it's very difficult to take it seriously or not take it seriously,
Right.
because of people can say some outlandish stuff, and there's no recourse for it,
Yeah.
which I think is actually going to change at some point. I think we're kind of in the infancy of how people are interacting online. But yeah, just think of that, the last of the enforcers. There's no, because as a dude, if a guy, I've seen the stuff that people post online, and if a dude said that stuff to another dude,
In
he-
person,
in
in real
person,
life.
he would get blasted in the face
Yeah.
like halfway through the statement. It's just not how people talk to each other in real life.
Yeah.
So, and that's an unfortunate piece of it, but it's something just to consider. But
Yeah.
anyway, we'll see how that all pans out. But I just
Yeah,
wanted
it's
to,
just good to be aware of. If
Yeah.
you're trying, if you're
Yeah.
saying, we're saying, instead of just being the observer, be positively engaging, that you might run into some people who are not the most nice people online. That's sometimes, a lot of times that happens. And a lot of times I think from a psychological perspective, the individuals who have a lot of stress or poor social skills to begin with kind of move into the online platform because there is no consequence for their action.
Right,
They're
right.
not really, not like they would be in real life. So you kind of tend to attract a little bit more of that in general. So that's definitely something to be aware of. But like you said, a lot of platforms nowadays, you can block people, you can delete
Yep,
posts, you
yep.
can kind of remove yourself from the fight, so to speak, so that they can, that's the only consequence you really have at the moment.
yeah, and I'm sure we will have to kind of take it on a case by case basis. But I would just block, remove, or
Or report if you need to.
yeah, not
Just do
engage
what you
with
have to
that,
do.
because a lot of times there's nothing to be gained from that. But or you could go Gary V style and call them on the phone. I don't
Whoa.
know you've got to that.
I have not.
Dude, he like lets people. He'll Skype them. He'll Skype call them and be like, "Hey, man," but only if it's a comment of like, "Hey, I didn't like your book because of this." Not
he
like,
wants to help them see that they
Yeah.
maybe were interpreting it incorrectly.
yeah, perhaps not someone like, "I think you should die," because that's kind of, outside. You're like, "Whoa, it's a little intense."
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, so I think that it's been fun dabbling in the world of this social media thing. I've not done very much with it. I'm sort of on Facebook. I do a little bit there. I'm trying to get better at it. I know a lot of people do use Facebook as a really big source of interacting with people.
Yep.
And I haven't done that in a very long time, so I'm trying to get better at that. But I'm really enjoying the vlog. I really hope that it's adding value for people. I know that sometimes it's a little choppy and a little bit not as well polished
it's
as
fun.
I would like it to be, but I'm
Yeah.
learning, I'm growing, I'll get better and better. And I really hope to be able to do some little mini courses that people can just click on YouTube and watch and learn. And like, I've thought about this. I work with a lot of clients from all over the spectrum of capability in the kitchen. And I want to start and do like how do you chop vegetables? Very, very simple. What's the best way to wash fruits? Some stuff that kitchen basics.
Yeah.
When I'm talking to people about eating real food, a lot of times my clients say, "Oh, I just don't have time for that," or "I get home late and I don't have time for that." And it is a revelation when I tell them, "Oh, just put some stuff in the crock pot and put it on low, and when you get home, it's done." Because they just don't. It's our society has moved so far away from eating real food, cooking, that it's just a lost art. So I want to be able to do some things that add value for people, put that on there. Anyway, I'm very, very excited about the process, and I hope that it can be something useful for most people.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's a good, really good attitude to have towards it. And I think I'll just end kind of on this comment, unless you have something else you want to add. But having the through line of sustainability, if you don't have that constant effort, and I really would encourage anyone on any front, if you're thinking about starting a business, whether it's internet-based or not, having that through line of sustainability of like, this is something I'm interested in continuing to do. you need to have, whether or not everything is posted perfectly, if your pictures aren't perfect, if you don't have like everything's edited exactly how you want it, you're not like, is your profile optimized on all the platforms, everything done. It just takes some layering and going through each thing, but like it's that consistent effort over time, as boring as that sounds. And giving yourself some grace to get things dialed in, just because there is so much like, oh, do I need to be on every platform or whatever? It can be really overwhelming, all the little nitty gritty details. So for me, some of that is exciting, because it's like, ooh, look at all the little things I can do. Particularly coming at it from like a gamer mindset. There's so many like little rabbit trails you can go down.
Yeah, but I love what you just said about being consistent and maintain. That's why I wanted to do this intro GAPS diet thing as a daily vlog, to make sure that I would stay consistent, not only with my posting and developing my skills, but with my diet, make sure that I'm not doing anything crazy to try to make sure that I'm offering consistent content for people too. That's why my first several videos didn't even have any music. You just watch me in silence chopping vegetables really fast.
I loved it. I loved it.
Well, that's what I've got right now, but I'm still staying consistent, and every day they get a little better, a little better, a little better, and eventually, that's all going to be all the 4 hours of work I spend on something now is going to take me 10 minutes later once I've got this process going down. It used to take me like half an hour just to import my files onto iMovie, and now I can do it in like a minute. It's great. Now I know the trick to get them to upload, because I would put them all in and they would upload out of order. And I'm like, what? How do I fix this? And then I had one at a time, every little clip. If you have 20 clips, you've got to click and drag and let it load, and it would take forever. And the trick is label them all in numeric order, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then put it in a folder, and then drag the folder, and it will automatically put it in order.
Oh, look at you go.
I know. There's now someone who knows iMovie's listening, like, no, there's a better way. Hey, if you know a better way, you let me know. Comment it to me. Find me.
But it's also fun for people to watch you get better.
Yes.
That's part of the process. And then what you said too about, that's another way for setting up yourself to win regardless of outcome, because, that's what it's called, a no-loss situation. Where, because you're doing this GAPS protocol, but I've seen people do vlogs and stuff where they're training for a race or whatever. You can use social media as a level of accountability. Even if you only have a few friends on there, if you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to make a video every day of me training, it keeps, like, worst case scenario, you've trained and gotten in great shape for your race, and you've used social media to document that experience. So it's a way for you to help, yourself improve on something as well. And I really enjoy that piece. And I think part of it, for me, the visual component, why I've been drawn particularly to Photoshop and video and the podcast, is that when you're done, there's something there's something that you've done that's there, like it's out. So if when you post something on YouTube, you're like, I did all this work, but now you can see it.
Here it is.
And I like that. I really like that. And I love that piece of, it's the part of painting that I enjoy probably the most, is that you can have dramatic results in a relatively short amount of time, and everyone can see the work that you did. Kind of. They might not know that you've edited something for 12 hours, but they see, oh, it's a cool video.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But
very cool.
Yeah. Anything else, Sweetness?
No, I think this was great.
All right. Cool. Alrighty, guys. We'll see you in the outro.
That is it for us today, folks. Thanks so much for watching or listening. We hope that you really enjoyed episode 17 of The Painter and the Pixie. If you're looking for show notes, you can find them at thepainterandthepixie.com or on our YouTube channel, The Painter and the Pixie. For show updates and for fun little tidbits throughout the week, you can follow us on Instagram at The Painter and the Pixie.
So yeah, thank you guys very much for listening. You can also find show notes on any respective podcasting platform that you're listening to. Usually the information section has all of that stuff as well. Again, we just really appreciate you guys listening or watching and kind of participating in this journey with us.
Awesome.
So we got some fun stuff planned. We're looking forward to this summer and this warm weather, and have some hopefully fun and interesting episodes coming up. So again, thank you guys very much. Stay out of trouble, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Amazing.